We lost the election. We're miserable. Half of this country is miserable. And let's just tell the truth. We hate that he won. We hate it.
The View has completely lost their minds after Trump won the election. They, just like most of the left, still cannot grasp how Trump managed to win again. But it doesn't just stop there, oh no. They've taken their outrage to a whole new level, throwing around baseless accusations, especially about Matt Gaetz, to the point where ABC had to step in and require them to read off legal notes.
How could you nominate someone with allegations of child trafficking trafficking across state lines and having sex with a 17-year-old? My understanding, further on in the interview, they discussed the fact that once he finds out that she's 17, he stops having sex with her.
You have a legal note.
I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism. That DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought.
But it doesn't just stop there. We are just getting started. Let's take a look at something Whoopi Goldberg has recently come under fire for. Whoopi recently had a birthday, and on her birthday, she wanted a Charlotte Russe cake, and she decided to order this cake from a local family-owned bakery in Staten Island. Here is what she described as taking place.
I should tell you, Charlotte Russe has no political leanings. And the place that made these refused to make them for me.
Really? Oh, this ought to be good.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What?
Wait a minute, did I just see what I think I saw?
Really?
Yes.
What?
She's really spitting out the cake. I mean, come on, did they think they poisoned it or something? Anyways, let's hear from Whoopi of why she was denied service.
They said that their ovens had gone down, all kinds of stuff, but folks went and got them anyway, which is why I'm not telling you who made them. But can't be because I'm a woman, but perhaps they did not like my politics.
Ah, yes, the left loves to claim victimhood whenever possible. The bakery must have been lying about the oven not working, and this was a clear case of oppression. And to think they did such a thing on your birthday? We better get our pitchforks ready and demand an explanation from this local bakery. Wait, what's that? Oh, the bakery was actually telling the truth and Whoopi's claims are completely unjustified?
This order was attempted to be placed. They asked us, and we were having trouble with our boilers. I said to Whoopi, I can't do it right now. We have so many things going on with my boiler because the building is from 1930. I had no idea if we would be baking.
Not only did the bakery need to clarify this situation, but the Staten Island Borough president himself deemed it necessary to defend the accusations made against the local bakery.
I think the bottom line here is after we're going to call up Jill, who has had to endure something that she shouldn't have to endure. These people are up at 3 or 4 o'clock every morning. The sacrifices they've made, the holidays they've missed with their families. To make Staten Island better, they have sacrificed for 145 years. Rutherford B. Hayes was the President of the United States, for God's sakes. And they're still here, and they're still strong, and they're not going anywhere, despite what other people on television have to say. And frankly, the people who defamed the Holterman family should apologize to the Holterman family for making stuff up to suit their needs. Not everybody wakes up every day and thinks about politics. A good business person doesn't care about anybody's politics. So with that, I'd like to call up Jill Holterman Bowers. She deserves 110% support.
The support has been so overwhelming, and I know how hard my family has worked to keep this business alive. And I wish my father was here today to see this. He would never believe it. My bakers come in 2 or 3 in the morning just to have donuts and rolls for everybody to come in and say, we have the best rolls ever. And you know what? It took my whole family. It takes everybody, the community that comes every day to see us. We have this everyday conversation with everybody. How's the family? How's this? This is what makes Holterman's Holterman's.
It's really insane the baseless claims the left are willing to make. These are everyday hardworking people, and here you have Whoopi Goldberg coming along in her ivory tower demanding cupcakes. Oh, you can't make them? I better smear your reputation on my show then. Absolutely insane. But this is just the beginning of some of the craziness the show has been spewing over the past couple weeks. In this next clip, the host of the show Morning Joe on MSNBC had decided they were going to pay a visit to President-elect Donald Trump to have dialogue with him in person. Let's see how Whoopi responds.
Joe and I realize it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him.
So is this the approach that is going to work with a gentleman who campaigned on calling the media the enemy of the people?
It's at least an effort to have real journalism for once, something that I'm sure is quite foreign to the left. And the media is the enemy of the people. You know, freedom of the press used to exist so media outlets such as yourself could hold the government or people of power accountable. But this only appears to be the case if Donald Trump is in office. In any other circumstance, it has turned into just another mouthpiece of the government. Long were the days that you could turn into one news station to get the full facts about a particular story or event. You are constantly getting fed propaganda or misinformation. And on top of that, you're being told how you should think or feel, instead of being presented with all the facts and being able to come to your own conclusion. We certainly can't have the public thinking for their own. No, instead they need to be manipulated or misled. That is why Trump calls the media an enemy of the people.
Truth of the matter is, as we know around this table, that it is hard to criticize and denounce the abuses of power by Donald Trump when he is president. We have been there before. It means threats. It means death threats. It means retribution against your family. It means crazy things showing up at your house. It means lawsuits. It means all sorts of things. We've done it before, and if we have to do it again, we will do so again.
This is peak delusion. Everything you just stated is exactly what the left has been doing to Trump since 2016. The guy has had multiple assassination attempts against him, countless lawsuits, impeached twice, multi-year-long investigation into the Russia hoax, called Hitler a Nazi, a white supremacist, clips of him spliced out of context to mislead the public on his actual views, and here you claim abuse of power. The irony is unreal with these people.
This idea that Trump won with some kind of mandate is not true. I mean, we have information there. He beat Kamala Harris by 1.6%. Joe Biden beat Trump by 4.5%, and nobody said it was a mandate. So get that out of your lips, out of your mouth, these people who are saying it's a mandate. It's not a mandate.
Oh, so since Trump didn't have over 50% of the popular vote, that clearly means this isn't a mandate. Is she aware that the election isn't by popular vote? If Trump wanted to drive up his popular vote, he would be campaigning in places like New York City or Los Angeles daily. The reason it's being called a mandate is because he didn't just beat Kamala Harris 312 electoral votes to 225, but the Republicans will also hold majority control over the House and the Senate. And might I add that all 7 swing states, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Arizona, all voted for him. He didn't lose a single swing state. That is why it's being called a mandate. And if you're really so concerned about the popular vote, Trump is the first Republican in 20 years to win the popular vote. You can deny it all you want, but the American people have spoken, and they are done with the Democrats being in control and are desperate for a change.
How did a convicted felon resonate more with Americans than a hyper-qualified woman of color? Do you think that racism and misogyny played any part in this election?
Of course, it all comes back to racism and sexism for the left. When are they going to realize that using this excuse is exactly why Kamala wasn't elected? And Kamala Harris, hyper-qualified? You mean the same candidate that dropped out of the 2020 Democrat primaries after no one voted for her? The vice president that Biden himself said was a DEI hire? The same presidential candidate that got to skip the 2024 primary process because Biden dropped out and gifted her the nominee without her ever needing to actually go against any other Democrat? I just want to be sure we're talking about the same person here.
Did you know that nearly 40% of young Americans get their news from social media influencers who skew towards the right, according to a new Pew report?
Should that really come as a shock? The American people are waking up the legacy media, or should I say the liberal propaganda machine. You know, you can only spread misinformation for so long until the viewers start wising up to your acts. It's no coincidence these platforms are struggling for viewership. The viewers have been led to believe so many lies about Trump and his supporters. They were told Trump's campaign was collapsing, or that Kamala was going to shatter records and their polls were there to prove it, or how Kamala was the perfect candidate, only to do a complete 180 after she lost the election.
Yeah. But I think that that's why people like our show, because they know that we are checked by ABC News. But
We're checked by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, if we're wrong, we have, you know, the legal note here.
The human legal
But we went from Walter Cronkite, basically, to this guy, Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He
believes in dragons?
He believes in dragons.
Did you triple source that?
Yes, I did. And he also thinks that dragons, like I guess like dinosaur-y type of animals, roamed the earth when people did. So this is the type of really, really bad information that's going out.
Okay, this takes the cake for the most delusional thing I've ever heard from the show so far. Judging by your YouTube audience, 90% of the people only watch your show to laugh at your absurd views. And to follow that up with misinformation about Joe Rogan is just icing on the cake for how deluded these people are. But don't worry, she triple sourced it, so surely we can believe her, right?
You know what I'm really fascinated with is things that existed like only in myth, but that every culture has, like dragons. Like I had this guy, Forrest Gallant. He's a wildlife biologist, and he thinks that there's a real possibility that dragons were an actual thing. And that...
Well, when they have lived, like when dinosaurs were around?
No, they lived alongside humans. That's why there's all these records and all these different cultures. And, you know, there's Chinese culture has dragons, Japanese culture has dragons, ancient Europeans have dragons. Like dragon is not a fire-breathing. That seems to be bullshit. But maybe even...
What kind of, like, what would their purpose be?
Well, they're probably like a crocodile that flies. There was probably like more than one kind of really dangerous reptile that they called dragons, like Komodo dragons.
Right, Komodo dragons.
Giant lizard, they call it a dragon, right? Crocodiles, dragons. The question is whether or not one of them actually flew. Because we know that pterodactyls were a real thing. And if pterodactyls...
I mean, they probably were real then.
Nah. I think it's probably something like that. You know, some kind of like enormous bird type creature.
Okay, well, Joe Rogan is clearly not stating that dragons are real. Well, at least not the fire-breathing kind. He's instead entertaining the idea of some kind of reptile with dragon-like features having existed a long time ago. And when questioned by his guest about them probably being real, he's clearly not convinced that actual dragons were a real thing. Whether this creature that Joe Rogan is describing existed or not is irrelevant, because we can clearly see that Joe Rogan is not claiming dragons existed.
Did you triple source that?
Yes, I did.
And then shows like this wonder why people turn to social media or YouTube to access information instead of them. They cannot and should not be trusted. They will lie and twist the truth by whatever means necessary to suit their worldviews. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.
That's the problem, is all of these outlets that people get wrong information from.
It's a big challenge.